Hey, what's up, guys? Kanki here from Kanki's Typology, and today we're going to talk about what is introverted thinking, also known as TI. So, what is TI? TI is the cognitive function that gives the user the ability to have logical reasoning or deductive reasoning. It's the function that makes true or false judgments. So for example, what happens in a TI user's head is they get input in the form of extroverted thinking, right? So extroverted thinking, we explained this in the previous lecture, would be the research, the data, the reference points. The TI user looks at the data, looks at the TE, but processes it. They go about it in a very logical way. So for example, the TI user is going to take the data and use that as the premise and the foundation to build up their logic tower. So for example, okay, so if this is true, right? Because I'm seeing the premise here, this is the data. If this is true, then that must be true, then this is true. But if this is true, then this can be true, so they're like kind of cutting away. Okay, this can't be true either, then they're cutting more away. Okay, then this is also true, and they're just going up like that. So on each level, they are cutting away what they think is false based on the data, and they're adding up new things that they think now must be true based on this. So TI users, we do have the ability to arrive at what's true better than other people, but this doesn't always mean that we're always correct. Why is this? Well, the old adage goes as follows: garbage in, garbage out, which means that if the TE input that we are provided is garbage, so if we just have all these incorrect assumptions that we are basing our logic off of, our logical, even if technically the logic is perfect, we are still going to be incorrect because the assumptions and the data was incorrect. But usually, if the data is correct, if the input that we are provided is actually accurate, and we start a logical process on that, so okay, so based on all this is true, that is false, this is true, that is true. We make our logical tower in our heads, and we can arrive at what is true. So I don't want to get too deep into different aspects of the science yet, but you'd probably be able to tell by now that compatibility does matter. So for example, TI users need TE users to give them the data, and the TE users need the TI users to process the data. It's a symbiosis in a way, but both of them need each other. But enough about TE. Let's not overcomplicate it, as I always love to do. There can be many uses for the function TI. So TI can be the function for truth telling. So honesty, in a way, actually comes from TI. And in the future, I'll give more examples to this with different types. This doesn't mean that if you're a TI user, you always tell the truth. However, TI users do often tell the truth because, from their perspective, lies can cause harm, and they don't want to cause harm. So oftentimes they're gonna tell the truth to help other people. And it's something that I'll explain in a different lecture more deeply. So introverted thinking is also, deductive reasoning, it's logic. If this, then that. If not this, then this can't be true either, basically. It's also the function for used to criticize people, because criticism can actually be helpful. So TI users often want to help. Now, the need to help actually comes from a different function that is connected to TI. So we will explain it later. But yeah, TI users often criticize people because we need to help, because Sure, like we can turn a blind eye to something, but then we know that down the line is gonna cause harm to the person, so better just tell them the truth and help them by doing that. So TI is also the filter. It's for filtering the garbage and leaving what is pure. In a lot of ways, it's being compared to the sword because it can cut, it can be very harsh in its delivery sometimes. And sometimes you have to be to get the message across. But I often also refer to as the sieve because the input goes in and the sieve kind of filters out the garbage and more purity comes through. Because if you imagine the sieve, there's a ton of data coming through, but a bunch of the stuff gets left there, and what you actually want to be there comes through, which in this case would be more precise reasoning. This doesn't always mean that the conclusions will always be true, because again, if you only put garbage in, only garbage is gonna come out. But if there is some truth in there, the sieve, or in this case the TI, will actually have some precision come through and some truth actually come through, which can be very useful. A TI is also the function used for verification. Verifying basically refers to as like, okay, do I actually know that this is true? So a responsible TI user or a mature TI user is often going to verify their own beliefs. Like, is this actually true? The less mature ones, the less experienced ones, are less inclined to do so, which is going to cause them and the people in their lives negative consequences. So I do really recommend verifying. So, the fiery sword of truth, it can burn, it can often be painful to use, at least from my biased INFJ point of view, but sometimes it is necessary. It is necessary to verify your own beliefs so you don't cause harm by having incorrect beliefs. So TI is also very fact driven. It's all about the facts and less about one's own feelings. So if you imagine someone with introverted thinking or TI as their strongest function, that person genuinely doesn't care how they feel about something. They only care about what they think about something, what the facts are, or what the logic is, or the things they have deduced. One way that my mentor refers to TI as, or describes TI as, is as follows. So we mentioned TE users, how they have, let's say, multiple tables or multiple lines going true false in an external way, looking at the true false reasoning of other people. For the TI user, the TI user is the one doing the true false reasoning, if that makes sense. So for example, if I read something, that's gonna be the T input that my TI is going to process, and I'm going to be like, okay, that's true, that's true, that's true, that's false, that's false, that's false, true, false, 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 true, false, true, false, right? That's basically it. It's how we process the data and we make our logical tower based on that. As we filter out and cut away what we find incorrect, and we try to get to the truth. Because as the saying goes, the truth will set you free. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.